Well, I was going to say one of the other big things is exercise, and the reason I want to ask Dave, because I said, Dave, what do you do during the day? And he says he works out. Now that's really a big health issue, is people that don't move and they don't get, they get old and stiff.
Well, that energy that we're all talking about needs to get moved somehow, whether it's active or passive. So if it's through the gym, so be it. I just want to go back a little bit because it's such a major thing. The majority of people I work with have repressed anger and or repressed grief. And these things have been recognized in Chinese medicine for 5,000 years as the cause of so many ailments, that if we create a safe space to allow someone to cry and or do energy work to allow that to come out, or even just set an intention and then do some kind of exercise, yoga or whatever it is, to get that moving and out, I've seen symptoms go away that Western medicine can't go away, just by creating a space to allow someone to be real and authentic with their feelings. And if I'm coming from a place of non-judgment, then they feel safe to go there. There's a lot of practices like core energetics where people get out anger by, hitting a couch with a tennis racket and yelling, whatever it is, like I hate you, mom, whatever there's, whatever is going on to get that out. They actually have these rooms in Japan where people can go in and just destroy everything, and then they come out and they put the suit back on, and they're aware of that mind-body connection.
Is that part of energy psychology? Because we didn't mention that, but that was part of what we're going to talk about, energy psychology. Is that energy work, energy psychology, is that part of it?
I personally haven't really heard those two words together, so I can't speak to that, but I get the idea of it. Sure, it makes total sense. It's all related,
Chinese medicine, which I practice, has energetic patterns associated with different organs in the body, and a lot of different modalities of medicine have this.
Would the acupuncture be one of them?
Acupuncture is part of Chinese medicine.
Yes, right, and that's when I recognize.
But when we have an emotional response to an event, if we're abused when we're very young, the body reacts and a pattern becomes locked in the body. Now the Chinese would understand it in terms of various organs, such as fear associated with the kidneys, and anger associated with the liver, and worry and anxiety associated with the digestion.
Do you mind if I just ask you, because I've heard that, but I don't understand, why would one emotion be associated with one particular organ? The energy is held like in the kidneys, liver might be anger. Why? Why would anger be in the liver, or fear in the kidneys, or?
Well,
it's the hottest organ.
I hope I didn't put you on the spot, because I've never heard that answered. What?
Well, because it comes out of, someone with very esoteric knowledge might be able to muse on that.
Right, okay.
But I think over thousands and thousands of years, the Chinese observed in case after case, as it were, that certain kinds of emotional patterns had certain kinds of symptoms.
Okay, that makes sense.
The treatment of those symptoms through various means correlates with various organs.
Like the broken heart.
Right, that's
People
true.
who don't feel love, sadness, grieving, that's held in the heart, are setting themselves up for strokes and heart attacks and other heart ailments, because the heart is sort of broken.
That made me think of something. Self-love. How important is self-love for health?
Huge.
I know. Wait a minute, folks. I know the answer,
That's
but
next week's
this
show.
is a question for the doctors
Well,
to answer.
I think that goes without saying.
But but it may. But how many people do not love themselves? I mean, like you were mentioning something about.
Well, that's why we all have a business.
Right.
It's because we're working on all of those levels that are helping people develop that sense of self. And when you say, I've heard this expression recently, you need to go in and find your identity. I was reading this. Your identity, I discovered, is a part of the heart, the qualities of the heart. And if you can own them and take them to the bone, which means taking them through the heart, through the blood, which the blood goes to the bone, you're a different human being, because you're going to focus on those higher qualities. I call them heart-soul qualities. So I think a lot of issues are reflecting in culture and low self-esteem because of all of the distractions and habitual habits that this culture has gotten into, and it's moving so fast. It's like we're still running after a train. The wealth, or the material, or whatever, we're still running after it, because this culture is teaching that in grade school almost. The competitiveness starts in kindergarten, doesn't it, or second grade? something like that.
That is so
Elementary
true.
school.
Maybe you know what people, maybe the recession, I hate to say this, in some ways it's a blessing in disguise because people have had to reevaluate what's important in their lives.
Oh, that's true.
So
I don't know anybody that isn't reevaluating their life at this time. And
Right.
actually, I don't know if you gentlemen have heard about this and if you even track astrology, but the summer, we're having alignments coming in this summer that astrologers are saying that they will have never seen anything quite like this in their lifetime.
we'll have to have an astrologer on the show, Badeish.
Well, yeah, I'm actually
Yeah,
thinking
alignment to
about
And
this.
you guys astrologers.
Yeah, those alignment to those outer planets.
Well,
and
when you
what-
have a what they call a
2012.
grand cross lit up in the sky with like 6 planets, 5 or 6 planets lit up in the form of a cross, everybody looks up in the sky where you can actually see that. You're going to see something that feels like a phenomenon. But I think it's the way God is moving us to start being accountable and responsible from within. It's forcing us all to go in and ask the right questions.
And that is self-love.
And that is self-love.
Because when we self-love, we take the time
Yes.
to go inward. We take the time to release, even if we don't yet understand what
Yeah.
we're releasing. We take the time to go to the kitchen, and instead of opening the package with all the refined carbohydrates and such, we take some time to take real food and make real meals and understand and feel the nutrition that it
Yeah.
provides.
Maybe I should
us.
just put a skeleton and crossbow on those packaged foods, and if you really think you're, because in a way, that's being a little out there, but in a way, you like you said, that you take the time. I think a lot of people don't love themselves because a lot of people don't take the time to
So
take
do
care
you
of themselves.
think-
I saw you. What did I say this time? Well, that's true, don't you think so? I think a lot of people don't love themselves. I really do.
It's a bit,
I mean, you're
I think
treating
it's
them.
really a major cause of suffering is that it's probably, if you were going to look at causation,
Yes.
the sense of separation that one has with oneself, one's being, that sense of separation with others, it's really a major cause of so many people's suffering on all levels,
We could even call it a disassociation from your own, that I would call it more sacred part of yourself. If you don't know, and then you're going through all this depression, and you've got a good doctor, and you've got good other teachers in your life, sometimes, I think it's wonderful to have specialists holistically that are dealing in specific areas, especially if the depression quota is more than like 80% and they're saying to you, well, I've been feeling suicidal. That I think that look what's happening with
Big red flag.
Well, I personally don't deal with that sort of thing in my practice
No.
because I think that there are professionals that would really be able to help them, because that is such a high percentage of disassociation within the spirit of that person. But I know that you, being a medical intuitive, you've come across this, where the percentage of disassociation is really, really high, and yet you're skilled to go in there and start helping them reassociate those parts of themselves that they can redefine and love themselves again.
Yeah, it's a process, and the disassociation is supported by everything that we were saying prior, like working on a computer, is not working with people. So you learn more and more disassociation, and you get stuck within yourself, and then your ego takes over.
Yeah, the
And you
ego.
have no chance of the spirit coming out at that point.
Yeah.
But to speak to depression, I don't treat that per se because I'm not a licensed physician, but people who are excessively sad or who even have been diagnosed with that, what I explain to them is that they haven't really allowed themselves to truly feel the sadness. And sometimes that might raise an eyebrow, but in Chinese medicine, it's all about energy. And if the energy is sadness and it's not being purged, it stays in the body and causes blockages. And it might start out in something really minor, like something in the lung or large intestine, maybe even just a discomfort. But after a while, it might turn into something more serious and more serious and more serious, all because the grief hasn't been purged. And then it can get a diagnosis of depression.